everyone, and welcome back to another edition of my top 100 favourite albums of all time. Today we are going to be tackling number 69 to 60. Stop sniggering. Anyway, yes, sorry to take me a little while to get this out. I've had a few things going on, the usual with job search, etc. Blah blah blah. But we're back on it. We got to get this going. Got to get some more videos out as well. I've just got to think of a new name for me, a gaming series. It turns out someone else is already using the name Retro Ramble, so that's a little bit of a bugger. But apart from that, here we go. Number 69 to 60 in what are my top 100 favourite albums of all time, up until whenever I started this, which I think was like April or May. So let's get into this, shall we? In at number 69 is Raging Speedhorn and We Will Be Dead Tomorrow. After the somewhat surprising success for the band, and indeed all of us metalers, of their first album, which is called Raging Speedhorn, due to their single The Gush, not The Crush, The Gush, actually somehow getting in the top 30 of the charts, if memory serves me correctly. They went on to even greater heights. This is their second album, and they've refined their sounds. They've remembered to bring the heavy, remembered to bring the sludge, but on this album, the songs were a little bit more refined, a little bit more kind of punchy, as it were. They weren't all just sort of slow to heavy, real bruisers. These were really fully formed songs. And we've got some awesome songs on here, such as F the Voodoo Man. You've got the masterpiece that is Heartbreaker. That riff on that song, it's slow, it's heavy, it's grinding. Oh, bleeding love it. And just all in all, to me, this album hung together better than their debut. There's nothing wrong with their debut album. You should check both out, both Raging Speedhorn, the debut, and We Will Be Dead Tomorrow. But this album, this is like a masterpiece of early 2000s UK extreme metal. You really need to check it out. If you like your sludge, you like your heaviness, you're going to enjoy this album. 69, stop giggling. Raging Speedhorn, We Will Be Dead Tomorrow. Now, something you will realise during this list is I kind of joined the early 2000s going through a phase of being, I suppose you could say, very patriotic with my music taste, as it were. I started seeking out more and more kind of underground and really heavy, but also awesome UK bands that just weren't getting the kind of love that they needed. And this is a band who really should have gone far. One Dice with Life is in at number 68. And as you can see from that cover, one man kicking another guy right in his family jewels. That's a pretty good way to describe how this mini album makes you feel after listening to it, but in a good way. The obvious comparison here is the vocals do sound very, very much like a film Anselmo facsimile. There's a very much a kind of a Pantera groove throughout the 9 tracks of this album, but One Dice bring their own sort of unique UKness, as it were, to the sound, and this is just full on an absolute kick to the nuts for about 25 minutes. Not a very long album, but this is just like, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's absolute perfection. And unfortunately, the band kind of disbanded after touring on this album, which was a great shame because I was really looking forward to a full-length album and seeing them like take over the stages worldwide. Some of the members go on to form another band called Piss Viper. They're worth checking out as well. Not quite as heavy as these guys, but yeah, in at number 68. One Dice, Life. If you can grab it, get hold of it. You're going to love it. In at number 67, what I would personally call the best System of a Down album, which is their debut. Now, if you're wondering, Toxicity is not on this list. It just missed out being on the top 100, but the more I thought about it, the more I realised I just don't listen to Toxicity as much as I listen to their debut album. For me, the debut album just hangs together better and has better songs overall. Not to take anything away from Toxicity, that is an absolutely marvellous album. Obviously, it broke them into the charts, got them bigger. I believe I saw them on Toxicity tour as well. But also, if I hear Chop Suey anymore for at least another year, I am going to go and murder people with cream buns or something. But anyway, the thing about the debut album, it was fresh when it came out. It was innovative. No one had that sound. To this day, still no one has been able to really recreate the System of a Down sound. I don't think anyone even tries, because they are so unique in what they do. Tackling such things as the Armenian Massacre and stuff like that on this album with a real sense of anger that seemed to be slightly missing on their following releases. This is the absolute pinnacle of System of a Down, with songs such as Sugar on there, No, and my personal favourite, PLUCK. That song, I absolutely love it. It ends off the album in perfect fashion, and I really do love that song. Along with War as well, another absolute diamond of a song. And this album still doesn't get what I feel to be enough love, because everyone goes, oh, toxicity, toxicity. No, System of a Down, their debut album, the one with the hand on it, that's the album you want to go. People ask me an album to listen to get into System of a Down, this is the one I'd always recommend. Although I am also one of those strange people who actually enjoyed the Still This album by System of a Down as well. Hey, what can I say? It had songs like F the System on there. You can't beat that. Anyway, System of a Down by System of a Down in here on my top 100 list, in at number 67. In at number 66, God, this was a hard choice to make, because I love Meshuggah, I really do. If I could have, I would have put the IEP on here, because that is my favourite Meshuggah release. But obviously, these are top 100 albums, not top 100 EPs. So I had to go with an album. And you may argue that Obscene is the better album. Fair enough, it does have Bleed on there, and Bleed is now an all-time stone cold metal classic. But when it comes to it, considering how this album, Catch 33, which is in here at number 66 on my list, this is essentially one long 45 to 48 minute track, if I'm remembering the time right, that's split up into smaller tracks. Although when you're playing it, you don't realise the joins and all that. And it's just an absolutely breathtaking experience. This was, after they experiment with I being a 25 minute long track, one track EP as it were, they decided, you know what, we can do this. So they released this, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. Blew everything out of the water around the same month that come out that year. And this is Meshuggah at the height and the absolute peak of their powers for me. Also very much equal as good an album as this, but I had to go with Catch 33 because it's the album I listen to a bit more than Obscene. The Violent Sleep of Reason, as you can see in my review on here, on this channel, I thought was okay. Just sounded a little bit like they were a little bit unsure. They kind of wanted to kind of experiment a bit, but not quite lose the Meshuggah sound, as it were. And unfortunately, it kind of led to being an average album for me. But anyway, we're not talking about Violent Sleep of Reason. We are talking about Catch 33. It's here at number 66 on my top 100 albums, top 100 favourite albums of all time. In at number 65, one of the first goth albums I ever bought. I actually bought this with another, I suppose you could talk, technically called goth album, which was Hymns, Razorblade Romance, which I can't remember has already been on the list or will be coming up later. But yes, Lacuna Coil, Coma Lies. I had heard Heaven's a Lie, and that was it. I was sold. Absolutely loved that song, so I had to get hold of the album. And this album, conversely, for a goth album, reminds me of happier times when I basically was with someone who made me incredibly happy. But I won't go down that. Let's just say I got very close to proposing to her. I've only been close to proposing to like one other person possibly before, well, since I should say. So yeah. But anyway, Lacuna Coil, Coma Lies, I picked it up and I was not disappointed. From the opening bars of the first track, Swamped, to obviously Heaven's a Lie, right through to the end of the album. This is an absolute masterclass. And obviously Christina Scarpia, which I believe it's pronounced Scarpia, her vocals are absolutely breathtaking. Absolutely love her voice. And that guy, for Jim Root from Slipknot, you lucky give. I believe you're still dating her. But anyway, yes, absolutely amazing album. I'm glad this was one of my first sort of goth albums that I ever bought, because this really opened up a world to me. This led me on to sort of checking out further Typo Negative and stuff like that. So yes, Lacuna Coil and him were my gateways to the dark side of goth, as it were. So yes, in at number 65, Lacuna Coil's Coma Lies. Can't we say much more about it than that? Go check it out if you haven't. In at number 64, Fintroll, Yaktenstead. I think it's pronounced Yaktenstead. The very first experience for me of folk metal, as it were. I actually borrowed this off a good friend of mine named Gav. Back in the day, I borrowed this and an Opeth album off him. And we kept laughing at how absurd it was, and that really metal with folk probably shouldn't work. But as discussed in the podcast this week, you can mix metal with virtually anything, and for some reason, if it's done well, it can actually work. It can work so well. But yes, Fintroll. I don't know what to say about this, really. I mean, it's interesting. The unique mix, obviously, is folk instrumentation and the metal riffs. They never skimp on either. They always make sure they've got an equal amount of both in every song. The vocals are kind of very black metalish as well, in a way. And the songs kind of vary from being about folk tales through to a lot of songs about drinking, including probably the most well-known song, Troll Hammering, seems to be generally about drinking. I don't know. I don't speak the language they're singing, nor do I really understand it. But I have had the chance to actually interview Fintroll a few years ago. That's on here on this channel. If you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the description if I remember. If I don't, feel free to put a comment and tell me that I'm a tit for not putting the link there. But anyway, yeah, Yaktenstead, one of my favourite folk metal albums, because it was one of my first, and it has such good songs, as Yaktenstead itself and Slag Avid Blood South. I do apologise if I am completely screwing up the pronunciation of these songs, by the way. But yeah, there you go. In at number 64, Yaktenstead by Fintroll. In at number 63, Rammstein and Mutter. Why? Sonner. What can I say? That massive riff to Sonner, that kind of cemented my love for the Rammstein sound, as it were. I'd heard Sehnsucht many years before, really enjoyed that as well. But Mutter is a much more complete album, as it were, where the band really, really did sort of cement their sound, as it were, and sort of get the songs that gelled together very well and made the album flow very well. I'm kind of a guy who enjoys albums that flow from song to song without it sort of being a jarring change of like mood or style throughout the songs. Although sometimes that can be fun, but that may be referenced later on. Anyway, yes, Mutter. Obviously got Sonner on there, which was an absolutely huge sensation here in the UK when it came out, with its somewhat controversial video. But this is Rammstein after all, or Rammstein. I don't know. I think it's pronounced one of those two ways. But yeah, then obviously you got Mutter itself, even though I found out what the lyrics were later on. Which I hadn't. And just all in all, an absolutely great album from beginning to end, from starting over Mein Herz brennt to the end. It's just an absolutely superb song. And of course, you've got the very kind of almost trashy Zwitter on there as well, which is a song that gets very much stuck in your head. So there you go. In at number 63, Rammstein and Mutter. Number 62 is my favourite Iron Maiden album, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, which I believe caused some controversy at the time due to the heavy reliance on synths. But what can I say? I mean, this album is literally on here more than anything because of the opening track, Moonchild, I believe to be one of the best Iron Maiden songs ever written, and I will fight you for that. But apart from that, you got Seventh Son of a Seventh Son as well, and of course, Can I Play With Madness? And just all in all, this was probably the beginning of the seeds being sown of how Iron Maiden was to go over the last like 10 years with the more progressive influence. And I like that. I kind of think it helps the Iron Maiden sound a little bit, because sometimes the Iron Maiden sound can get a little bit tired, but if they go a little bit proggy, it helps them explore places they want to musically as well. But there's nothing wrong with a couple of quick rages as well from Iron Maiden. Obviously, otherwise Run to the Hills would have done so well. But yes, overall, my favourite Iron Maiden album. Is it their best? To me, yes. But to many others, they would say no. Fair enough. This is my own opinion. Hopefully you can appreciate that. But yeah, this is the Iron Maiden album I find myself coming back to again and again. In at 61 is one of my favourite bands from the grunge era, and they never really fit the grunge mould. I am, of course, talking about Smashing Pumpkins and their absolute classic double album, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. Now, admittedly, Siamese Dream could be on here as well. It might well be later, I'm not saying. But this album, my God, this album, I got absolutely addicted to this. Admittedly, the singles such as got Bullet Butterfly Wings, there we go, 1979, and of course there was another song on here as well, Bodies, which was not single, but Bodies as well, really helped me through some tough times. And just the whole album in general, along with Tonight, the single Tonight, it's just kind of Billy Corgan and the band themselves sort of stretching their wings a bit, getting themselves out of just being seen as just grunge artists and doing an album that may have started off as being pretty much purely for them. But this double album, yeah, there's one or two slightly lesser tracks on there that maybe don't hang together as well as most of the album. But you know what? It's an experience. The whole double album, I find myself every now and again listening to both discs, one after the other, in one epic Smashing Pumpkins session. Admittedly, Billy Corgan's voice is not for everyone. Some see him as a nasty whining git, but you know, fair enough. It took me a while to get used to the voice at first, but now I love it. I absolutely love Smashing Pumpkins, and this album I feel to be one of the albums that was them at the absolute peak of their powers. In at number 60, don't know why I'm saying that so gravelly there, is Cooper Temple Claws, See This Through and Leave. One of the best, I suppose you call it, indie rock albums of probably the last sort of 17 years. This is their debut album as well. Now, I will admit, when I first heard them, I didn't really give them a chance. Unfortunately, the singer did have a slight sort of similarity to Noel Gallagher, and I'll be honest, I can't goddamn stand Oasis at all. So his voice put me off at first, but I got used to it. And then the turning point, I had MTV2 on over here in the UK, and Who Needs Enemies came on, and that blew me away. Absolutely love that song, even to this day. Absolutely love that song. So I picked up the album, and my God, I wish I'd picked it up sooner. This album is an absolute masterclass in bringing in rock with the indie stuff, and even a few little dance touches in there as well. And that might sound like a kind of recipe for disaster, but no, the Cooper Temple Claws knew how to hang it all together. Sadly, they broke up after their third album, but they really were one of the best exponents of UK indie rock there were, because they never really shied away from the heavy guitar riffs. They knew how to make it all hang together in a good way. And the singer's voice ended up being one of my favourites, really. I ended up really enjoying him, enjoying his voice. Enjoying him, that sounds a bit suspect, doesn't it? But yes, See This Through and Leave by the Cooper Temple Claws, in here at number 60. If you like your indie rock, go check these guys out. No jangly guitars in sight, but go check them out. I'd say go check out stuff like Been Training Dogs and, of course, Who Needs Enemies. But yeah, absolutely awesome band, absolutely awesome album, absolute masterpiece. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching stroke listening to me go on through my picks of 69 to 60 of my favourite albums of all time, top 100 albums of all time. I will be back soon with another video. I will try and get these out, at least one of these videos out per week, so I can try and get this list done, because we're getting close to the halfway mark, and then we get into the really juicy stuff. Will some of it be controversial? Will some of it be arguing about? Well, only time will tell. Some of you may already be arguing about my choices as it is. You know what? Your taste is your taste. Mine is mine. I have a weird and somewhat eclectic taste. I'm quite happy to admit that. But hopefully you're enjoying these. Feel free to check out the Patreon as well. The link is on the screen now. Any money you donate to the channel will be greatly, greatly appreciated, because I don't have that many subscribers. I don't get that many views, to be honest with you. But feel free to share this video as well. And also tell your friends about the channel. Feel free to have a look around the channel as well, because obviously I've got the interviews with bands and all that that are on here from previous years and previous radio stations. Also, finally, feel free to check out two things. One, my co-host for the podcast, the one and only Attic Ghost. Go check out his channel. He's a very, very friendly Jeremy indeed. He's got some great vlogs. And if you like the Birthday Massacre, you're going to enjoy his videos. Also, feel free to check out the rest of my channel as well, and my radio show that is on www.thatmetalstation.com every Sunday from 2 p.m. GMT, 9 a.m. EST. Hopefully I'll see you in the chat room. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.